Today, excellent habit, incredible. Anybody just coming on now, we're sharing our name, your location, and a habit you admire in yourself or someone else. If you can turn on your video, it's good to see people. Hi, Elisa Brown, nice to see you. Glad you came. You didn't need to, you already know all this stuff. Great. Stephanie, hi Stephanie, sticking to a schedule, not a habit that she has, but maybe by the end of today, she will have mapped out how to do it. Fantastic. All right, we'll wait just one more minute as people are signing on. Anyone else? Oh, Sandy. Whoops, I missed Sandy, sorry. Family loves to give to those less fortunate in the community. That's a great habit. Oh my gosh, great. So Teresa in Maryland, she has her 21 for 21. Is that a Gretchen Rubin thing?
Yes, I love her.
I love Gretchen Rubin too. I have my 21 for 21. I need to print it out and put it up. It's just 21 things you want to do in the year 2021. Oh, you've got yours already. Great.
I'm a bullet journaler, so I have it all ready to go.
And your bullet journal. Fantastic. Good. So maybe today we can help with one of those items that is a recurring habit. So for those of you who already wrote yours, take a second and look at other people's habits so that they have or they aspire to, because today at the end of the workshop, I'm going to ask you to think of one personal or professional habit that you would like to develop in 2021. And you're going to map out some strategies to make sure you actually stick to it, because that's the hard part. Coming up with the idea of the habit, that's one thing, but sticking to it, oof, that's another. So look at some of what other people wrote, if they give you any ideas. And Jim, Nathan, should we get going?
Yes, absolutely. Good morning, everyone. And in case you haven't recognized, I am your guest host today, as Mark is on vacation and he's flying over the Pacific Ocean as we are speaking. So he has a well-deserved time with his granddaughter. And so we're going to move on without Mark. I am the Dean of the College of Education at UL Lafayette, and I've been with the INSEP board since it was founded. And so I've been working with this group and listening to Mark all this time. This is one of the best ideas that the pandemic has given us, is to have these talks. And we are fortunate that we have Jenn David Lang here for the main idea. Those of you who made the past conference would have seen her as she presented with Kim Marshall. So you're in for a real treat today. And she said she will introduce herself, which I'm sure is far better than I can. So I'm going to turn it over to Jenn. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Nathan. I appreciate it. Well, welcome everyone. So good to be here. I know our country is in chaos, and yesterday I had a workshop I thought about canceling. I didn't know about doing today, but to tell you the truth, that when I decided to enter the field of education in 1991 as a middle school math and English teacher, I decided to go into education and not politics, because rather than fighting what's bad out there, I wanted to build what's good. So, let's continue. I believe that, these habits that we're going to talk about today really have the power to make you a better educator, better leader, and really impact your school. So that's far more important. So yes, I'm going to chat with you today. And for those of you who don't know me, I been in education for a long time, but most recently my passion is to support school leaders. And the way I do that is, first of all, through the main idea. Every month I send a summary of an education book to school leaders all across the country. And through Sam, thanks to Sam, you get a free subscription. If you don't have one, email Jim, he'll set you up. And I also support school leaders through masterminds. We have one of my mastermind members here today, Elisa. We meet as a group of school and district leaders twice a month for professional learning and support and feedback. And it's some of the best professional learning that I have seen. So if you are interested in that, you can go take a look at my website. I want a disclaimer that I am no expert in habits. And in fact, I have had a lot of habits that I have started and struggled with. Whoops, maybe that is why I'm so passionate about this topic that we're going to talk about. I have 4 new habits for 2021. I probably should only have 1 or 2 to really focus on, but I've already started the year, I started on the 4th when we got back to business as usual. And I'm trying just along with you. I am no expert at all. So Basically today we are going to talk about habits, and the information in this PowerPoint comes from this incredible New York Times bestseller by James Clear. It's called Atomic Habits. I'm going to give you an overview of that, and I have a summary of this book, which if you are a member of the Main Idea, then I sent it out in December. If not, just sign up and I will send it to you. But basically, I'm passionate about habits because, to tell you the truth, I don't know any amazing school leader who doesn't have strong habits. You can't create a really strong school without having strong habits. An amazing school doesn't happen from, one great phone call you have with parents, or one great PD session you have one time. No, you build amazing schools through regular habits. When you have the habit of regularly communicating with families and staff, when you have the habit of regularly observing teachers and giving feedback, when you have the habit of regularly sharing your expectations for strong teaching, when you have the habit of regularly planning professional learning experiences. So that's why I'm so passionate about habits. And today what we're going to do is I'm going to start with an overview of the book and 4 laws of behavior change, what you need to do to make the theory behind what gets us to actually change our behavior. And then I'm going to share 9 concrete strategies that make the habit stick. And then this is going to be interactive. Together, we are going to map out today some very specific strategies for a pretend habit, a mock habit that we'll all do together. And then in breakouts, and I'm really, for those of you who think, oh, I'm getting out of here at 11:40, I promise you, if you take the extra 20 minutes in your breakout, that's really when you're going to work on your particular habit. So I would encourage you to stay. So 2 overarching themes are: 1, this is going to be interactive. I need your help. I believe in applying learning. If you just sit here, blah, 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 and you just listen to me and have a few other things on, you're not going to get as much out of it as if you actually apply this learning, which we're going to do today. And the second thing, I know you all wear a lot of hats, kind of like this woman in the picture, but today I'm going to ask you to think about wearing 2 hats. 1 hat of a participant, someone who wants to improve his or her own habits, right? And then the second hat is I'm happy to share my agenda with you, but I encourage you to do this workshop with your staff. Imagine the power of your leadership team or all of your teachers and everyone improving their habits a little bit. It will have a profound impact on your school. I did this workshop recently and someone emailed me and said he did the whole workshop with his wife and she loved it. So, so think about those 2 hats. I'm going to start by giving you a little bit of an overview of the man behind the book, James Clear. James Clear is an incredible life story. On his very last day of 10th grade, he was hit accidentally in the head by a baseball bat. And it was a terrible accident. It completely shattered his skull. He had fractures, he had concussion. I think it busted both of his eye sockets. It was just terrible. And his father was a minor league baseball player. This was a really big deal to him. And it took him 8 months of recovery just to be able to drive a car. So we're talking really tough situation. Then somehow he got into Denison University and he started very slowly changing his habits. So while his friends were out partying and sleeping late, he started to sleep a little bit more each day. He wanted to play baseball, so he started lifting a little bit of, weights here and there. He started these tiny, tiny changes. He started keeping his room a little bit neater. He started developing good study habits. And then within 6 years, from the end of 10th grade to his senior year in college, he made incredible transformational changes in his life. He was nominated as the top male athlete at Denison University, and he received the university's highest academic honor, the President's Medal. So basically, these tiny changes that seemed insignificant at the time ended up profoundly changing his life. And the motto of his book is "Tiny changes, remarkable results." So what happens is that many of us begin to make small changes, but we give up before we see the impact. Can I see by hands anybody who's ever tried a habit but honestly gave up before it fully stuck? I am raising my hand. Yeah, many of us. So he gives us an example of why this is the case. Give me a second. So imagine an ice cube on a table. and the room is 27 degrees, right? So you work really hard and you raise the temperature of the room 1 degree. And what happens? It's 28, nothing. You work really hard. You raise the temperature of the room to 29 degrees. Nothing happens. You work extra hard. You raise the temperature of the room 30 degrees. Nothing happens. Most of us give up, right? Nothing's happened. But we all know the story, the science, right? You raise it to 31, nothing happens. 32, nothing happens. 33, finally the ice begins to melt. So what is it about human behavior that we can do to get us to the 33 degrees when that ice starts to melt? Another example of tiny changes that lead to remarkable results. Imagine an airplane in Los Angeles. Sorry, this is a little fuzzy. It's headed, the nose of the plane is pointed toward New York City, where I am. Sorry, I didn't introduce, I'm in Brooklyn, New York. Somebody moves the nose of the plane just 3.5 degrees. That's tiny out of 360, just 3.5 degrees. And that plane ending up in Washington, DC, over 200 miles away. So the point is that as you are aiming your life, your personal and your professional life, if you can just make some small changes now, you will have enormous, it will have an enormous impact on your life, on your school, on your relationships, on everything. So what happened was James Clear took these experiences from his own life and he came up with 4 laws of human behavior change that get us to really stick to our habits. And his book is not a heavy, research tome. It's a light, like I would read this over the weekend. There's some great stories in here, but he does draw on research in biology, neuroscience, philosophy, psychology, and more. So I'm going to go over these 4 overarching laws, but even more specifically, some 9 strategies underneath those laws. But before we do that, Jim is going to set us up. Hold on one sec, Jim, let me just introduce it. We are going to do a poll. Our entire group, we are going to work on one strategy today on applying these new strategies. We're going to choose one habit. So your choice in a second is, do we all want to work on the habit of practicing gratitude or the habit of observing 10 teachers a week? Choose a personal or professional one. This is just for the sake of practice today. You don't have to do anything beyond today. So Jim's going to put a poll up, and whatever you all want to work on, that's what we're going to work on. So if you have that, do you want to work on gratitude or observing 10 teachers a week? And we'll wait about 30 seconds and then we will take the most popular. Definitely vote because it's close, kind of like Georgia. If you know anything, every vote counts. All right, let's take 10 more seconds. All right. Jim, do you want to share the results with everybody?
Are they not showing up?
Oh, are they? Does everybody see? Sorry.
All right.
Oh, everybody can see them. Okay, so great. So gratitude one, we're all going to work on gratitude, but obviously these laws, they influence everything. And just to be really clear, if you decide today to focus on a personal habit for 2021, it will absolutely impact your work and schools. Think about it. If you improve your sleep, if you improve your eating, if you improve your exercise, that's going to help you make better decisions. That's going to help improve your relationships with all of your colleagues. So it's not like one is work and one is not. I really do believe all of these habits will impact your work. So we are going to work on gratitude as our practice today. So we're going to start with the first law of behavior change. So in order to really get a habit to stick, the first thing you need to do is make it obvious. How do you know when to start the behavior? So I'm going to give you 2 concrete strategies, and then we're going to use them for gratitude. So and you do not need to take copious notes. Jim sent out a 1-pager with all of these ideas, and I'm going to attach it to the chat as well. I probably should have done it before this. I'll do it in a moment. You don't need to take notes. All of this is in the worksheet. It's just 1 page. So the first strategy to make our habit obvious, or you know what, is to use a habit stacker. And that's when you take a current habit that you already have down pat and you attach the new habit to it. So for example, I happen to be excellent about brushing my teeth every morning. That's one of my habits I have mastered, and I'm sure many of you have too. So let's say I would like to start meditating. I might say to myself, okay, Jen, what I'm going to do is every morning immediately after I brush my teeth, I'm going to stand there at the sink and I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to meditate for a minute every day. So I take something I already do and I add my new habit that I want to do. Another strategy for making it obvious is to set up your environment to remind you of what your habit is. So anybody ever have the habit of wanting to drink more water? That's a great habit. So what you could do is take your office or your home, wherever you are, and you could put bottles or glasses of water everywhere. So when you get up and you go to the bathroom and there's a glass of water, you're like, oh, I got to drink water. You get up to stretch your legs and you see on a shelf, oh, there's a glass of water. So these are two concrete strategies, the habit stacker and priming environment, that can be used to get you to start your habit. I'm going to attach this worksheet. Are there some people who don't have it? Give me 1 second and I am attaching it right now. So this has all the information. You don't need to take crazy notes. So right now, I'm going to ask all of us, and I would love it if everybody could try to reply in the chat. My question is, how might we use these specific strategies of the environment or a habit stacker to get us to start the habit of gratitude? If everybody could write an idea, apply what you just learned. And I'll give you an example. So as soon as my family sits down to dinner, we will all say one thing we're grateful for. We already have the dinner habit, so I'm stacking my gratitude on top of that. What other ideas do you have to use? Specifically, we're just doing habit stacker and environment. Keep a notepad at your desk and write one thing after you have your coffee. Exactly. A lot of people have a coffee habit. As soon as you have your coffee, then you write something you're grateful for. When you wake up, right, we all wake up every day, no matter what. Well, until a certain point, but we all wake up. As soon as you wake up, you write something you're gratitude for. Very good. When planning your day, because something you do already, planning your day, put a star in the times, yes, that you want to say something grateful to someone. Fantastic. So look at some of the other, leave a cup on my desk and fill it before I allow myself to sit down. Oh, well, we're not doing water, we're doing gratitude, but that's okay. We're all focusing on gratitude. Before I get out of bed, think of something to be grateful for. Yeah, one time I made it a habit of when I was going to sleep, every night I would fall asleep and I would think of things I was grateful for, and I actually ended up sleeping better as well. While walking the puppy in the morning, yes, that's a good idea. I've got a pandemic puppy. Make an action. Well, we're focusing on gratitude. So think of something you're grateful for. Yes, we're not doing all habits. We're just doing gratitude right now. Oh, the gratitude group. That's going to come in a little bit later. Fantastic. Okay, we are going to move on to the second habit, the second law of human behavior change. So the first one was, how do we remember to start the habit? And the second one is, how do we make it attractive? How do you make this habit attractive, right? Clearly, if a habit is attractive, you're more likely to do it, right? So that's why we have habits like eating ice cream sundaes and binging Netflix, because those are pretty attractive and we actually crave them. Our bodies crave them. You know, when you eat more sugar, your body craves sugar. At the end of Netflix, when they suggest other shows, then you start watching other shows. So how do we get ourselves to crave habits that are a little bit tougher than ice cream and Netflix? So James Clear gives a couple of suggestions, and I'm going to share these two strategies. The first one is temptation building, and it's very much like the habit stacker. So what you do is you allow yourself the habit that you want to do after the habit you must do. So after I must write those 3 teacher evaluations, then I'm going to enjoy some coffee. And you know what happens? Then when you're about to write your daily teacher evaluations, your body starts craving the coffee. And so it's like you're craving that tougher habit. So after I write the agenda for this meeting, then I will check Facebook. After I run a mile, then I will take a luxurious bath. So because your body wants the reward, you start craving the habit. Second strategy to make it attractive is to join a culture where that habit is the norm, right? So we're all susceptible to peer pressure, even as adults. So if you want to start a mindfulness habit, then join a mindfulness group. If you want to start a habit of regular reading and professional learning, you could join my mastermind group or the main idea, or just join a book club. I joined a fiction book club because I wasn't reading enough fiction. And so that made it enjoyable because I really like the women in my club. So we're going to think about gratitude in a moment and how could we use temptation building or join a culture to make the habit of gratitude more attractive. So again, I will post this in the chat and see if people can share some ideas. How might we use specifically temptation building or joining a culture to make our gratitude habit more attractive? I'll give you some time. I'm okay with silence. Before we start our team meetings, go around and have each teacher tell one thing they are thankful for. Great. So if we think about a reward, so the reward is the team meeting. Everybody could add one suggestion. How could we use temptation building to get us to practice gratitude? There we go. Invite staff to join me in writing a gratitude sticky note and start a collection on the bulletin board, right? So that is the reward. That's why a lot of people post on Twitter or Facebook, right? Every time I thank 3 people, I'm going to post it on Twitter or Facebook. Then you get all this positive feedback from people. So that's the temptation builder one. After I finish a meeting, stand up and think one thankful thought. So that's the habit, going back to the habit stacker, perhaps. Before I get a cup of coffee, I will thank a family member for something they did the day before. That's it, right? The reward is the coffee, and the habit we're trying to build is the gratitude habit. After I list 5 things I'm thankful for, then I'll enjoy my coffee. Yes, a lot of us use coffee, and that's fine. We do start to crave it. Have a text partner to share grateful for today, right? Because once you're grateful and then you share it with someone, that brings you some positive feelings. Choose 3 people to be thankful for and then have chocolate. Get my daily piece of gum after gratitude recognition. That's great, right? Withhold it. I don't allow myself to do coffee until I map out my day. And so my body's really waiting to map out my plans for the day. Before we go out to eat as a family, we say what we're thankful for. That's great. That's even better than at home because it really is a treat. You're all going out. I love that one. I'm going to share that. Well, when we go, we're not going out to eat these days, but when we get back there. Gratitude jar, we're going to talk about that too. But yes, every time you're thankful for something, you put it in the jar. It feels good to do that. Okay, so these are some great ideas. We have just talked about the first 2 laws of human behavior change: make it obvious and make it attractive. So we are going to go hit the 3rd law of human behavior change. The 3rd law is to make it easy. Now, you're going to find this very interesting, but have you ever tried a habit? Sometimes I try a habit and I'm not doing a good job, and I think, come on, Jen, just try harder. Or 2021, that's going to be the year. Just like double down and work harder. Has anyone ever thought like, oh, I've got to try harder? But actually, as humans, we are not wired to work hard. We are wired to take the easy route, actually, to be kind of lazy. If you think of our ancestors, right? they wanted to get food in the easiest way possible. If they exerted a lot of effort getting their food, then they'd burn more calories and need more food. They wanted to exert the least amount of effort to get shelter, the least amount of effort to escape their prey. So all these years of thinking, I got to work harder for my habits. No, 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 no. You got to make your habits easier. So how do you do that? Well, one way is to prime the environment. So, you know, when you're trying to eat healthily and you're starving and it's so easy to open up a bag of store-bought cookies because they're there, right? It is so much harder to go shopping for fresh vegetables and wash them and peel them and cut them, right? So how do you prime the environment? On Sundays, you cut up all your vegetables and you put them in bags or Tupperware, and then you have them for the week when you're starving, right? You know how it's hard to finish up teacher evaluations? How can we make that easier? Put your phone in another room so that you're not tempted. Go to a cafe or some other place where you're not going to be interrupted by everybody knocking on your door. We need to make our habits easier. And my favorite story about this in the book is about the author, the French author, Victor Hugo. His publisher, he's the one who wrote The Hunchback of Notre Dame and Les Miserables. Sorry, my French is terrible. So the publisher was furious because he was running late on finishing up The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And that was because he lived in Paris and he used to, instead of writing, he'd walk out to all the cafes and chit chat with everyone. So how did he get himself to finish the novel? Well, he had his assistant, once he was sitting in his room where he wrote, take all of his clothes, so he was buttoning it, took all of his clothes so that he could not leave and go out to the cafes and chit chat with everybody. And he actually ended up finishing The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2 weeks before the deadline. So while I don't recommend, I'm not saying you all need to get naked to do your strategies, but you do want to find ways to make it easier to do what you need to do. A less sexy example is my husband, who I said in the beginning is an amazing runner. And what he does is he puts his clothing out in the hallway every night before he runs. So in the morning, he can't say, oh, I don't know where my socks are. I don't want to wake up Jen. You know, he's got the clothing, it's there. He's making it easier. So the first strategy is to prime the environment. The other prime the environment was about starting the behavior. This one is about continuing with the behavior. So prime the environment. The second one is the 2-minute rule. We are all educators. We dream big. We want all of our students to read above their grade level, right? We want all of our teachers to get satisfactory or above on their evaluation. We have big dreams. We want to write a novel. We want to run a marathon. No, no, no. That's how you're going to fail. Each habit can be made smaller, and you need to start small. So you want to run a marathon for the first week, all you have to do is set your alarm, actually get out of bed, put on the sneakers, then get back into bed. Make it very small. During this pandemic, you want to make sure to reach out to all of your families, your students' families, and maybe you have 800 families. So you're like, oh, I'm going to start. No, no, no. Make one phone call home to one family every day to start, or even every week. So these are 2 strategies to help us make our habits easier: prime the environment and the 2-minute rule. So let's again think back to gratitude. How might we use the environment or the 2-minute rule to make our gratitude habit easier? If everybody could share a suggestion, how could we prime the environment or use the 2-minute rule to make the gratitude habit easier? Buy some cute little sticky notes. And yeah, if you already have the cute little sticky notes, right, then it's much easier to send them out to staff members. I was going to say buy cards and get them addressed all ahead of time and then send thank yous. Because if you think, oh, I really want to thank this person, but I have to get an envelope and what's her address and a stamp, right? Have it all ready. Have those boxes of cards. Leave your gratitude journal in the place you plan to write in it and have your pens of choice ready to go. Absolutely. It's much easier if you have the tools for what you need right there. Make it easier. Have your journal open on your desk. I love it. At the end of the day, right? Open your journal, leave it there. Then it's really easy. It's much harder to close the journal, put it away, and then start your work for the day. Yes, have your stamps, your stickers, all of it ready. Have your journal open. These are some great ideas to make it easier. make a list of things to thank staff for, right? If you have a regular, almost like when teachers write narratives for their students, if you have a set list of things you already write, it's much easier. Fantastic. All right, I'm going to move on to the last law so that we don't run over. So that was, how do we make it easier? The fourth law of human behavior change is, how do we make it satisfying, right? As humans, we are actually primed for instant gratification. Again, going back to our ancestors, they, killed animals in the wild to eat right away. They looked for shelter right away. They didn't try to save up a lot of money for a down payment on a house, right? So this whole idea of delayed gratification is actually pretty new for us as humans. We want our satisfaction now. But what happens when your behavior, right? You want to lose weight? That doesn't happen now. You want to save money? That doesn't happen now. So his first strategy that he suggests is you create an immediate reward, almost like that temptation building, right? So like the gratitude jar, it's very satisfying to put something you're grateful for into a jar. Get that satisfaction now. You want to lose weight? Every day you don't eat desserts, put $1 into a jar where you save for a leather jacket. So we need to create some kind of immediate reward. The second thing is a habit tracker, especially for us as educators. We just love to check things off. So you can do, here's a paper one that I've created that I'm happy to send to you. Just let me know. Or there's a lot of apps out there. You just Google habit apps, or, there's productivity and habit bull and streaks. And we love these types of check off lists. It could be a calendar. Just put a check on your calendar every day. The comedian Jerry Seinfeld, he had a habit. He wanted to have the habit of writing a joke every single day, and he kept a very strict habit tracker, and he was particularly keen on making sure he didn't break the chain. We don't like to see ourselves break the chain. Another suggestion is the negative consequence. So why do we pay our bills? We don't want to have to, why do we pay our bills on time? We don't want to pay a late fee, right? Why do we drive the speed limit? Or some of us do. We don't want to get a ticket. So you can use a negative consequence and even enlist a partner in helping you. So for example, in my family, we're big Mets fans. So imagine if I had the habit of turning off all my screens by 9 p.m. And I say to my husband, the first time I start checking emails after 9 p.m., then I'm going to have to wear a Yankees cap for my Zoom meetings for the entire month. So that I've got that pact with my husband, and that's a negative consequence that I could have. This is a great example from the book. So there's one guy who wanted to wake up early. He wanted to wake up at 6 a.m. every day. So he set his Twitter on this automatic reminder that that went off at 6:10, and a tweet went out that said, "I'm not up because I'm lazy. The first 5 people who respond to this tweet get $5. So if he got up between 6 and 6:10, he could stop the tweet. So I love that one. So these are the final suggestions. Use a habit tracker, a negative consequence, or create an immediate reward. So if we want to do that one last one, how might we use immediate rewards, a habit tracker, or a negative consequence to get us to practice gratitude? And I'm just going to take a couple because I want to fit in so a couple of ideas. How could you use a negative consequence to get you to practice gratitude? I know it seems kind of counterintuitive, right? Gratitude is such a good thing. How might you do that? Some suggestions from people. So I'm giving an example. If I don't thank anyone in my family before dinner, no dessert. Just something really small like that. Other suggestions? Someone else? No dessert if I haven't. Yes, Principal Bennett said the same thing that I did, right? You can do that immediate. A lot of us were thinking about that. You can't wear jeans on Friday. I love that. So if you haven't sent out 3 thank yous to staff this week, you're not allowed to wear jeans or whatever all of us are wearing in our Zoom meetings, right? You've got to dress up and look more professional. You guys get dessert, Jim asks. All right, so this is a lot. It's a lot of strategies, and I'm going to give you time to think them through in a moment. But first, I wanted to have a special note about keystone habits. Some habits that we have are so big that they affect every aspect of our life, or many aspects of our life. And the idea of a keystone habit comes from Charles Duhigg. Anybody read The Power of Habit? I also have a summary of that. If you want to email me, I'm happy to share that. But a perfect example of a keystone habit is the movie Brittany Runs a Marathon. Anybody see that? It's a story of a young woman, I think in her 20s, who's overweight, and she abuses Adderall, and she goes out partying at night with her friends, and her friends don't even treat her so well, and she oversleeps all the time, and a doctor says, you got to get healthy. And she starts a running habit, and she ends up meeting all 4 of the laws of behavior change. So I'm just gonna, if we have time, to share a quick clip if any of you want to watch this. We're just going to do 1 minute.
What brings you in today?
I have a hard time focusing.
You get enough sleep every night?
For this side of the room. How much is enough?
6 to 8 hours.
Oh, way more than that. I had a friend. She was prescribed Adderall, and now she's very alert.
You know, some people abuse Adderall. Let's get you healthy. I want you to try losing 55 pounds.
That's the weight of a Siberian Husky. You want me to pull a medium-sized working dog off of my body? I'm starting to feel like everyone's lives are going places, and mine's sort of stuck. Hold it, please. Try not to leave all your stuff in the hallway. That'll be the 3rd time this month. Change is possible. If I keep interviewing, no one thinks I'm the right fit. I would love you to walk me through CPR for this dog. I'm sorry, this child is dead. I need to get it.
We have rates as low as $129 a month.
You do know that people can run outside. That is zero. Look. I ran today.
What the hell you do that? Somebody chasing you or something? You can do it.
I know, I'm doing it.
Sorry, I'm talking very small.
So as you're thinking of habits, if you want to watch this movie for extra credit, and whoops, sorry about that, and you can see all 4 laws of behavior change. So what we're going to do is we are going to break into groups of 3 in just a moment. And what I would like you to do is each person introduce yourself very briefly, 30 seconds, and the person with the shortest hair go first. Share the habit you would like to start or strengthen in 2021. And then everybody brainstorm ideas based on the 9 strategies we talked about, so that that person can walk away with a whole bunch of ideas for concrete strategies. And then the next person, introduce yourself and share your habit, and everybody brainstorm strategies. So it might help if you have that 1-page worksheet with you. Since I know some of you will leave, although I encourage you, these 20 minutes, people really walked away with a lot of ideas after doing this. These are ways you can reach me if you want to sign up for the main idea. You can actually do it through Jim, and this is where my past book summaries are. If you like today's professional learning session, you might want to join my twice-monthly mastermind group. I can put you in touch with Elisa, who does that. If you want a copy of today's agenda so you can share it with your wife, or no, if you want to do a presentation for your staff, I encourage you to do that, or I could do this workshop with your staff.